Guys, what's going on? Back here with my friend Aldo from Crusades of Motivation. What's up, Aldo? What's going on, brother?
What's up, Beanie? What's up, Beanie? How you doing,
Uh,
man? Thank you so much for having me again, man.
all
I
right,
feel like
yeah.
this is my home now.
You got it, man. Good to have you. And before we get going, man, I got to show off my. Actually, I had this for a while. A friend of mine, Travis Plant, who's with the. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the emblem of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police,
Well,
right?
I see it. Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Yeah. And Travis is a Mountie. And shout out to Travis. He's been one of my subscribers. Probably, if he wasn't my first subscriber, he was probably in the first 3 subscribers I ever had. He's been around for a long time, and he's always supported the channel. And he was nice enough to send me this. So shout out to the Mounties, and our friend David Witten too is also a Mountie.
Yes,
So
sir.
shout out to him and my good friend Travis Plant. Appreciate this, Travis. Nice. Um, so what do we want to talk about tonight? I was at the gym earlier, right? And there was a woman there, and she was overweight, but to her credit, she was at the gym. You know what I mean? And she came in and she was getting her stuff, putting her stuff down, and there was a guy there, obviously that she knew. They got into a quick conversation. I was standing right there, and I was privy to the conversation. And she says, "Oh, the guy said, I haven't seen you here in a while." She said, "No, but I decided let me get my ass here and do something. Trust me, I don't want to be here. I'd rather be home doing blah 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 blah. But I figured I got to get here, and So in other words, the whole thing was she was just so put off about being at the gym. But again, to her credit, she made it. You know what I mean? She was there. She was in the building. But the point I'm trying to make is that and I talked about this the other day in a live. The whole concept of people looking at their health and fitness and exercise in general um, as some type of punishment. You know what I mean? Like I got to do this, and and it really does come down to the priorities because when we talk about not having time, it's bullshit. You know what I mean? Not being able to do it, and I don't know what to do. It's there. The information is there. Even if you don't go to a gym, you could do it at home, which is even better, right? You don't have to get in your car and travel to a gym. You could stay right at home and do it. But everybody is so put off with it. But I mentioned the other day when I was talking on one of my lives that when it's something that you really, if your friend called you up and said, "Hey, even if you were hungover from a Saturday night, and he called you on a Sunday morning and said, 'Hey, Aldo, I got 2 tickets to the football game. Let's go.' Or you'd drag your ass out of. You'd find a fucking way to get there. You'd find a way to do it, right? If there was something else that you want, if you wanted a new car, you'd work your ass off and you'd do research on that car, and you'd know everything about that car, the ins and outs, and how much it costs, and you know. But when it comes to your health, it's I I just can't find the time. I just don't know what to do. You know what I mean? Everybody all of a sudden, is just um, they're just helpless almost, and they view it as I'm here at the gym, but I'd rather be home doing something else. And I told another story a while back. I was over in the Bronx, New York, right by Yankee Stadium. There's a calisthenics park over there, and uh, I was working out there one day, and this young guy came up in a wheelchair, and he wheeled himself. There's a couple of actually there's three pull-up bars, a high one, a middle one, and then a lower one. He wheeled himself under the mid-sized bar, and he reached up and he got himself out of the wheelchair, and he was doing pull-ups, right? And then he went over and he was doing dips, right? And he was in a wheelchair. It was obvious that he didn't have the use of his legs. It wasn't that he had maybe broken a foot or something. It was obvious that he was disabled, right, from the waist down. But this guy was there at the park, working his ass off, outworking almost everybody there. you know? And I, I'm sure he wasn't viewing it as a punishment. He was viewing it as a, I'm sure he doesn't appreciate the fact that he's disabled, but it's not holding him back. You know what I mean? And we make every excuse. Able-bodied people will make every fucking excuse not to go do it. And then you look at a young guy like that who's there at the park, disability or not. And again, I don't even want to call them disabled. I look at some able-bodied people and say they're the ones that are disabled. Disabled in their thinking, in their whole mentality. And it goes back to what is it going to take for you to realize that, being able to exercise, challenge yourself. You know what I mean? Life, of course, you want some level of comfort in life, but for God's sake, like challenge yourself a little bit. Use your body. You know what I mean? Why else do you have it? Get uncomfortable once in a while, and you know, I was just wondering what your take on, like, what is it with people that they just don't get it? Like, why do they have that mentality that they view this as some type of punishment or something that they'll make every excuse not to do? Even when they go do it, it's like, I'm doing it, but I really don't want to be doing it. I can't believe I have to do it. You know.
Man,
So
we got it fucking twisted, man. First, I want to give shout outs to that young man on the fucking wheelchair, man, because that's the example, right? Because she's
yeah,
setting fucking example for many. But I view this, man, as a blessing, and I keep preaching this shit, and I'm gonna keep preaching it every time I'm coming these videos, man. Having this body is the biggest blessing we have. Just
right.
being able to move, man. I always say, man, waking up. It's a blessing to be able to wake up and walk, man, and to be able to exercise. That's one of the biggest blessings we have.
Yeah,
And we take this shit for granted because it's just so normal to walk and to get up and to live.
yeah,
And I think back again to the culture, man. We don't really get sometimes it's our parents, sometimes it's just society, the media, the television, whatever. We even this right here, but I think it's changing with these platforms right here, because there's people like you and I speaking about it and
right.
saying how important it is to move, because that how they say that if you don't use it you lose it. That's just 100%, man. I see it with myself and injuries that I have. The days I don't move, oh man, the shit hurts more. The
Yeah,
days I move, I'm better, to the point that I don't even want to take a day off because I feel so good. I feel so good when I work out. I just feel
exactly.
it feels more mobility. My mentality is better. My spirit,
Yep.
my mood, and that's something that people need to understand, man. This shit is not a it's not a myth. We talk it here. I mean, there's bigger influencers out there, bigger YouTubers, bigger people that do this media shit that speak about it, man.
Right.
So if y'all on the other side hear this shit so much for so many people, it's gotta be truth to it.
Yeah.
Moving is a privilege. Being able to work out, fuck, man. Besides that, you look good,
Yeah.
right?
The
It gives
vanity.
you
The
that
vanity
fucking.
is always the vanity's always there. The vanity's always there.
If I can, you wanna connect with a girl, who you think she's gonna like more?
Right.
A dude with the six pack, got a little bit of muscle, or a flappy motherfucker? Who you think she's gonna like, man? That's what I tell people. Same back with the girls. Who you think that man is gonna like? Who, like, a lot of girls want this man of value, right? They want, oh man, I want a man that makes so much money. I want a handsome man. But how do you look, right? What are
Right.
you doing in your life, girl, right? Or boy, whoever. What are you doing in your life to have your own value? Because I mean, I'm married, right? But if I was to look for a girl, I'm gonna look that in a girl. Those are
Right.
qualities that I would want in a girl.
Exactly.
That big one is working out. because I know that through that she's gonna be more mindful on her health. Because somehow, man, this shit, this journey of the fitness takes you into other routes to better up yourself. You not only want the body, then you want the mind. Then you start looking at your finances. Some I don't even know how this shit works, man. But some about uh, searching for this fitness makes you go into that route. Oh man, I want to like I myself right now. I want to get better with my money, right? I don't know. I don't know if you agree with that. Do you think that's real? How it
Oh,
like guides you into different routes where you want to get better. I wanna be better at my job.
it carries over into everything. It carries because somebody who exercises, and first of all, it shows that again you have a level of self-discipline, you have a level of self-esteem, and you're absolutely right. It carries over into every aspect of your life, every single aspect. And what people don't get is, if you don't do it, like you just what you said earlier, if you know use it or lose it. And if you don't, you don't feel right. And what people don't get is when you don't use your body, when you don't exercise your body, your muscles atrophy, you tighten up, you cramp up, and then you'll get injuries from doing just everyday tasks,
Mm.
right? And then you look at it like, well, my body's breaking down. Well, of course it's breaking down because you never use it.
Mm-hmm.
You never ever use it, and then that becomes the excuse for not doing it. Then people will turn around and say, "Well, I would exercise, but I can't because of my elbow, because of my I have this with my shoulder." Well, you have all this because you never did it, right? You have to keep your body in shape, and you can do it. 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Now you see people 100 years old. Go on YouTube
Man.
and look up like older athletes. You'll see guys out there 100 years old running sprints and being at the gym you know but it's all a matter of priorities, and you have to realize. And again, there are not only the physical, but there's so many mental benefits, and just again, it helps you build self-esteem, it helps you build self-discipline, and all of that is going to carry over into every aspect of your life. And like you mentioned, with people, you see a lot of these women online talking about, I want to find where's all the good guys at, and you're a 300-pound woman, you know what I mean, with maybe two or three kids, and you're talking about getting like a high value guy. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? You don't take care of yourself. You don't respect yourself. You don't have any self esteem. You don't have, and you're talking about like, where's all the work on yourself before you worry about other people. If if you're that, if you're not valuable, like in other words, you're going to find what you are. Like all
Yeah.
these women and even guys, like they think that they're going to level up. You know what I mean? Like if you're walking around looking like a four, all sloppy and out of shape, and you have no self esteem, you have no self discipline, and you're like on a scale, say you're a four, and you're sitting there talking about, well, where's all the tens at? You know what I
Man,
mean?
you won't get no tan, man. No, is this?
No,
They want to be looking at a four like that. We got this shit so twisted, man. So
we
twisted.
really
And
do.
you know what? When people have these aches, I found out in my own experience that with moving, I heal these aches. The opposite
Exactly.
that most people think, right? The opposite. They think like okay, I'm gonna skip it here and not move. But like we have our brother Gusto, man. Shout out to our bro. He broke his fucking wrist and he was saying that I was hanging. I was doing dead hangs and
Yeah.
I mean he healed his wrist. He can move. I mean you see him doing fucking shit ton of muscle up.
Yeah.
And the opposite, I'm sure if he didn't do that, his shit probably would have been stiff.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Yep. And that's just it. People will use any little ailment, any little injury as an excuse for then all of a sudden, it goes from, I don't have time to work out, who wants to work out, I can't work out. I don't like to work out. And then when you get some type of injury, now all of a sudden they'll go into that mode of like, yeah, I would work out if I didn't if I didn't mess my wrist up, I'd be working out, but I just can't, because of my wrist. So you always just finding we love to justify everything that we do. We have to find some and we always do. We always find some justification, and 99% of the time it's all bullshit. You know what I mean?
Man,
So,
man,
but
and I guess I can see where they come from when they say, that it's you do suffer a little bit, right? You do suffer a little bit because sometimes especially if you want to level up on your reps, on your weight, right? That shit is hard, right? At the beginning, it's hard to get that 100 rep. It is a little bit of suffering, but that
Mhm.
shit is rewarding.
Yeah.
It's just crazy how this shit works, man. Because still to the day, it amazes me the many times that I've been through fucking sets that I'm like fucking in pain, suffering, but somehow I get an enjoyment. It's just weird, and it's crazy because same thing. Now I'm not the only one saying it, and I'm not the only one feeling it. So it's so much
Right.
truth to this, right? And one I was talking to my son about this, man. I talked to him about how comfortable we live and all the commodities that we have. We get to fucking sit down and watch a fucking movie, and there's days that we relax. But I was telling him, we have to move, man. We have to do something because we came in this earth to move. That's the beginning of times, right? We've always been moving. I would say the last, what, 40, 50 years when we start getting all this technology more in our lives that we stop doing that moving shit, right?
Yeah.
So we gotta simulate this. And what best way to simulate it than go get a fucking an hour and a half, go do some fucking pull-ups, go run, go bike, go whatever, to the point that fitness is not boring, man. You make it boring because there's so many things that you can do.
Oh, there's no end to it. And again, it even if it's just walking around the block a few times, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be like Gusto 500 muscle ups or 1,000 pull-ups or
Mm-hmm.
911 pull. It doesn't have to be that. It could be what you enjoy, but it's just something to get your body moving. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Like just to sit around, and we are addicted to the comfort. We're so
Man.
addicted. Anything out of our comfort zone, we just won't have it. I go to something simple as just taking a cold shower every day, and I do it. I force myself to do it every day. And then I've seen people go, that's fucking stupid. There's no benefits to. Maybe I don't know. I feel good after I do it. I,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to argue the health benefit. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like if you want to sit there and tell me you're doing it for no reason because I'm doing it just because I want to be uncomfortable for 3 or 4 minutes and
Mm-hmm.
show myself that I can do it. I get in that shower. That when that water hits my body, I just want to, still. And I've been doing it for years.
Mm-hmm.
I forced myself to do it. But when I get out of that fucking shower, I feel like $1,000,000. It wakes me up first thing in the morning. I feel great. It's a great way to start the day. It really is.
It
You
is.
know what I mean? A simple thing like that. But you tell most people to do that, fuck that. People get up, they go in a hot shower, they're nice and warm. They have the electric starter for their car in the winter. They start it up. They have the heat on from the night before. They get the car nice and warmed up. They get bundled up. They run out into the car. The car's already warmed up. Then they go to work. If you're lucky enough to work in an indoor environment, you're nice and warm all day. It's just comfort, comfort, comfort. And when you try and and exercise is being uncomfortable because you have to push your body, right? Um, your heart rate's gonna go up. You're gonna sweat, But the thing is, the after effects of that discomfort, it makes you feel even better. It's a sense of accomplishment, right? It does build the self-esteem. It makes you feel better physically. It's just so much rather than doing nothing. Like, and I exercise very often, and on the days I don't exercise, I feel like a slug.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a day that I really need a rest day, I might really be sore from doing something, or I worked out X amount of days in a row, and I'm like, yeah, I really should take a day off. But it's a mental thing with me, and I feel like I should be doing something, and I almost have to force myself not to do it sometimes. So the idea of never doing it, that feeling of I should be doing something, I can't deal. I wouldn't be able to deal with that every single day, knowing that I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting there and letting myself get out of shape, letting myself get overweight, not doing anything to challenge myself. I can't do it. You know what I mean? It's just it's not in my. I just don't comprehend that state of mind, to be honest with you, and that's why I have a hard time wrapping my head around. Um, People that just let themselves go to the point where uh, you're so overweight, you're so sick, and then the excuses start. Again, we say it over and over, and then when people get that far gone, well, I'm this way because of my genetics. I have this ailment because of no, it's because of your habits. We're a product, way more a product of our habits than our genes. Everybody's going to have some type of genetic predisposition to something. You know what I mean? You have a body type, everything like that. But enough of this bullshit. You know what I mean? That you just write everything off. Your shitty lifestyle and all the ailments that you bring up. A lot of it that we 80 to 90% of what's going on when people with our chronic illnesses are brought upon by ourselves. It's a result of our habits. It's not genetics. It might make people feel better to say it's genetics, but it's not. You know what I mean? They're not going to sit there and say, I'm fucked up because of me. I did this to myself. They're not going to do it. When it's the truth, but they'll never do it. They'll sit, and it sounds better to say, yeah, no, it's just, it's my genetics, while they're eating a tub of Haagen-Dazs.
Oh man.
You know what I mean?
Hey
So,
man, I want to bring some light too on this subject too, because this shit also is not I mean, at least not for me. I was not born with this. I want to fucking work out every day. That's a skill to develop. Okay,
yeah.
that's a skill to develop. I mean, it took me a long time, but at the beginning it was the vanity of like, oh man, I want to get a little bit of muscle. But then it develops, man, and that's a to give hope for everyone out here watching, and that it's not something that all dog was born with. I wasn't born with. The next man that's fucking ripped and shit and got the big ass chest was born with. That's something to develop, man, and that's something to come in into fitness and understand. Okay, that's something that I don't know. I'm not in tune with. I don't know what the fuck to do, and that's the beauty of this era right now. We have these fucking phones, man. The info is there, so let's make a list. Bam, the info is there. We got the info, right? You gotta look up on what sets I can do. Okay, bam, I got the info. I'm you. Hey, and listen, like I said again, something grabs your attention, or you're curious about something. It could be the bro sets. Like we got the bro sets, leg day, fucking arm day, what
Mhm.
whatever the fuck, back day. You can do that. Then we got the Olympic weightlifting shit, all right, which I love. We got the calisthenics. Whatever that you're curious about, whatever that, oh man, that shit looks cool. Start there. Start there and look for the info. You got the sets. What would you say? 3 days a week? It is 3 days a week. You think a good start for let's say I'm overweight and I want to fucking get into this fitness life. It's I would say 3 days. That's my opinion. Will you say 3 days is a good 3 days a week? Start
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
right? That's
Hmm.
a good, right.
3 days a week.
Okay. Three
Yeah.
days a week. That's all you need at the beginning because you don't want to get burned out either. Because that shit can happen, man. This is you gotta be strategic with this because you want this to become a habit,
Right.
right? Okay, so bam, we got the 3 days a week. You start with whatever you want to do. Start small. That's the biggest thing. Start small so you don't burn out again. So it's not so difficult for you. And believe me, man, I bet $1,000 to anybody. If they go on these 3 days for 3 months, it becomes a fucking habit. Then I assure you, you're gonna wanna have 4 days, and
Right.
then because that's my journey, man. That's how my shit started. I started with, I think 4 days. I started at the beginning, and it took me a long time, and I was waiting for the fucking results, Beanie. I was 130 pounds, 130 fucking pounds, man, soaking wet, looking like that, man. I'm talking about skinny motherfucker, man, and Beanie, I could not see the fucking results, man, and it was a month. There was 2 fucking months, and I'm like, shit. And you know what? All I was doing is benching because I was shy at the gym, and this happens to a lot of people, man. You come in the gym. We talked about this before. You shy. You think people is gonna criticize you. People is not fucking even. They want to help you. They want to fucking help you. So I did this, man. I go into the corner bench. So I'm doing fucking benching every day, being fucking, and then finally, after 3 months, I start seeing a little bit of cut right here. I'm like, oh shit, man, it's
Game
happening.
on. Game
Game
on.
on, man. That's what it took, Vinny. Fucking okay, 3 months, and then I start seeing the results, and it was on, man. Then I start wondering about more. Somehow, because that's how the mind works, man. Once you start reaching
Yeah.
especially seeing, you seeing changes, you're like, oh fuck, this is working. I see it a lot happening with the girls. You know, when they
Mhm.
start losing weight, then that booty start popping a little bit. They're like, oh shit. Then you, bam, man. Next thing you see, they just fully transform. So
Yeah.
that's I want to really let the people know, man. It's not something you're born with. It's a skill you gotta develop. It's a
Yes.
skill you gotta develop, and then it becomes a habit. Then you're gonna have all those problems. You're gonna fucking want to take a day off.
Right.
You gotta fight to get a day off. I'm the same way,
Yeah.
Beanie. But it
Yeah.
took a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's one of the big things. Like I think you just made a very good point in that whole with everything that you said there. Start with 3 days a week. The big thing is we always talk about everybody with their New Year's resolutions. New year, new me. No, I'm gonna do no, I'm gonna have what I want now, Christmas parties and this and that. Because January 1st, that's it. It's all over. I'm changing then. You know what I mean? You can't. You can't wake up one day and be a whole new person. You have to
Mhm.
pick and choose your battles. You start doing something 3 days a week. People will join the gym, and then I forget the day they call it, whatever. It's within a couple of weeks.
Mhm.
By February, the beginning of February, all the New Year's resolutions are out of the gym. You know what I mean? And they're just paying their money. They're not going to the gym. Um, but you have to start small. Start with that three days a week, and when you start seeing the progress, and even with your diet, you're not going to change your diet completely overnight. Start picking and choosing your battles, right?
Mhm.
And success is a great motivator. So when you start seeing, like, you set a little goal, I want to lose 5 pounds. You get your calendar. Okay, 3 days a week. I want to make sure at the end of the month I have 3 days a week checked off on each week. Okay, I did this month. Now I'm going to go on to next month, and just keep it going. Instead of looking at it like I have 100 pounds to lose, you know what I mean? I have to do all these workouts one day compartments. I wake up today. Is today an off day? Or am I working out? No, I'm gonna go do my workout. Okay, and what am I trying to get out of my diet today? I'm not gonna have any of that today. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And you start, and that's like you said, it's about building the habits, and they come over time. What keeps you going? You got to keep yourself motivated. Little successes. When you reach these little goals, the success motivates you to keep going. But if you think that you're going to wake up every day and become a whole new person overnight, January 1st, that guy that was out drinking like a fucking goon for, you know what I mean, and is overweight. No, no, today I don't eat that anymore. I exercise every day. No, you don't. You're setting yourself up for failure. You're
Mhm.
doing it, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. You know what I mean? Little steps, and you'll get there. And it's really hard, And the other mental battle that you have too is most people want those, even if it's a little success, they want it right now. You have to convince them that, listen, 6 months is going to pass if you're sitting on your ass eating ice cream, or if you're working out 3 days a week and trying to educate yourself on how to eat and you're trying to eat right. That time is going to pass in the blink of an eye. And I say this all
Mhm.
the time. I can tell you for a fact the clock's not stopping for you. The clock's not going to go in reverse. And the older you get, it's going to start speeding up. It's going to seem like it's going much, much quicker. And that time goes. A month turns into 6 months, turns into a year, turns into 5 years. You know what I mean? And even, with people gaining weight, you know, oh, I'm 5 pounds overweight. That's going to turn into 10 pounds. And then it's going to turn into 40 pounds and 50 pounds. It's coming. It's coming. You know what I mean? And, you can't think that if I do this damage over the course of 5 and 10 years or 20 years, I'm not going to reverse that damage in a month. You have to now make it. That was my life prior. Now I'm going to change my life and I'm going to work to do things better. I know what not to do. I might not know exactly what I have to do now, but I know everything, most of what I shouldn't be doing because I did it. And that got me to this point where I'm now 50 or 60 or 70 pounds overweight and I'm diabetic and I have this ailment and that ailment. So, what did I do to get to this point? Just look back, all that. Okay, that's the stuff I don't want to do. Right. And then I'm going to work on what I should be replacing it with. And like you said earlier, the information is there.
Mhm.
Information is there. Right. But you have to want it enough to really go look for it. And you'll find the answers. The answers are there. It's not rocket science. You know what I mean? It's you're going to get there. But you have to look at it as like being able to use your body, being able to, get better at it, being able to exercise, reap all the benefit. That's a privilege. It's a privilege, but most people just look at it like, and they just throw it away. They think, and I did for years. I thought, getting off of work and going out with my friends and drinking, this is a privilege. I'm living my best life. Oh, man, this is the best. This is the best. It's a waste. It's a fucking waste. I'm not saying don't ever do it. You can go out once in a while, have some drinks with your friends, go to dinner, but to make that your life day in and day out, over and over and over, like you exist just to go out to restaurants, just to go out to eat, just to buy into this whole fucking myth that material stuff is going to bring you happiness. I'm working with a guy now. I've known the guy for years, and shout out to him because he's doing great. He's lost a ton of weight. He's working out now. I mean, he's making all sorts of progress. But he told me a story. He's always been a car guy. He likes nice cars, and he's been able to do it. He's just a car buff and also motorcycles. And he said about 10 years ago, he entered a raffle, and the prize was a Harley Davidson motorcycle. It was a $24,000 motorcycle, right? So he said, my friend called me up. Hey, they have this raffle. You want to buy a ticket? Yeah, I bought a ticket. He buys $100 raffle ticket, and he wins a $24,000 Harley Davidson 10 years ago, right? So we're talking just over this past weekend, and he sold the motorcycle. I said, well, what's up? You don't ride it, you know? He said, no. He goes, I had it for 10 years. He goes, I could probably count on one hand how many times I actually rode it. He's like, my wife didn't want to get on it with me. I was by myself. He goes, I took my daughter for a ride a couple of times. She wanted no part of it. He goes, and it just sat in my garage. So he wound up just selling it recently. But anyway, the point is, he said, like, I loved it. I always wanted a motorcycle. I wanted this type of motorcycle, and I won it. Somebody gave it to me. Really, I almost got it for free. And what did it do for him? It did nothing. Once he got it, you know what I'm saying? But now he's in the past few months, he's lost all sorts of weight. He's almost every day every other day he's texting me. I feel so much stronger. I'm doing this exercise. I did this many push-ups today. I did this many and he's ecstatic over it.
Mhm.
So this is making him happy. He says, I feel better than I have in 20 years. I haven't been this weight since I got into the police academy 30 years ago. So he's
Wow.
lost so much weight, you know what I mean? And this is what's getting them all hopped up. And again, it's okay to have material stuff, but that's not the stuff at the end of the day that's going to give you that's going to make you happy. You know what I mean? Getting up every day and, being 40, 50, 60 years old and still having your body intact, still being strong, right? Not being reliant on fucking medication. Oh, what are you doing today? Well, I got my doctor's appointment because of my blood pressure. This. That's no way to live. That's no way, and it's not normal. But we talk about it all the time how then they normalize it. They tell when you go to the doctors and just in general, that the whole narrative today is you're 50, you're 60, you're supposed to be on pills, you're supposed to be out of shape. You know, if you're 50 and you do exercise, you got to watch. Bullshit. You got to watch. You got to work your ass off if you're 50, and if you're
More.
even more, even more. But they make everything. Well, if you're gonna exercise, you better talk to your doctor first. Fuck him. What does the doctor know about exercise? He knows shit. He knows shit. A doctor knows how to give you if you sprain your ankle, he'll give you an anti-inflammatory and a pain pill. That's all he knows. He doesn't know how anything about doing exercise or rehab. They know nothing other than pills, right? I don't want fucking nutrition advice from a doctor. I don't want to know anything. I'll tell the story again. My friend a couple of months ago got diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic. He's my age, 60-year-old guy. I've known him for years. He goes to a doctor who happens to be the 61. He's a year older than my buddy. Overweight. The doctor is overweight, and he's a diabetic. So my buddy is at a diabetic. My buddy is at a doctor who's a diabetic, trying to learn how to not be a diabetic. It's fucking insanity.
That is.
And this guy tells my buddy, well, he wants to give him metformin because that's the first plan of attack. You get diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic. The first thing to do is, and really the only thing they do is tell you to lose weight and they give you metformin. And that's exactly what he's going to do to my buddy. And my buddy said, well, I'd rather try and do it first without the medication, with lifestyle changes and stuff. And the doctor discouraged him and said, well, no, you're not going to be able to do it that way. You really should be taking the medication. Well, what the fuck do you know? You don't know. You know shit then. You're a diabetic. You don't know anything about not being how to get somebody off of medication. If you're a doctor, if you're somebody that heals people, you tell me your success stories. How you had somebody come to you that was sick, and you reversed their illness. How you started them off. Maybe they needed medication in the beginning, right? How did you get them off medication? Every one of these guys you go and talk to, all they're going to tell you is the guy started 10 years ago with this much medication. Now he's taking this much. He started out with one pill. Now he's on 6 pills. That's all they do. So anyway, I'm sorry if I got off on a rant there, my friend.
No, man, shit. Man, this needs to be it needs to be said and it needs to be heard. Because we got this shit twisted, man. Hey, I'm a believer in natural medicine. I've been cured myself of a few illnesses before with natural medicine. I cured myself on injuries I have, right? So now, man, this needs to be said.
Yeah.
More people need to talk about this, their experiences, right? Well, what was your journey on that healing? Like I remember having my ankle fucked up. I rehab myself. I remember having a sports hernia. I rehab myself, which it was funny with that one because, and I'm not a doctor. Disclaimer: I'm not a doctor, or I don't give no advice.
No,
Before
me either.
somebody comes,
Me either.
but check it out. I found this fucking all black from the 90s and shit. It's all that page of a guy speaking about this sports hernia. And I don't know if anybody knows, but that's just like inside and shit, and it causes discomfort. And he was speaking about a book from the 1930s that got banned. I'm like, fuck, I wonder why it got banned because it had good information, right?
Yeah, of
I'm sure
course.
some like the but I don't know the herniatic organization probably canceled that shit, but this book talks about the exercise to rehab it, and that
Mhm.
shit worked. It took a long ass time, but hey, I was committed to that shit. I was out there at the gym 6 months, man, not doing nothing but the rehab. Every day I go there, do the rehab, and then one day I'm like, holy shit, I don't feel that pain anymore,
Right.
and it works. So there's so much shit that we don't know, man. There's so many cures for diseases out there that we don't know because they don't want us to know. They don't
No, they
want us to
don't.
know.
They don't because and because the pharmaceutical industry is so powerful,
It's so powerful,
and
yeah.
it comes down to the drugs. They want to sell their drugs, and anybody that comes around, and like you said, that one was from, say, back in the 1930s. Well, what they did was, when the pharmaceutical industry started really ramping up and pushing their agenda, anybody who was like holistic doctors and all, they were all branded quacks. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I mean? And dangerous. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that because it's dangerous. You have to take our medications. But there, and again, we talk about the information is out there, and you really have to look for it. There was a thing called, and people can look this up, called the borax conspiracy, right? And borax is, they sell it as a laundry detergent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and really all it is it's a type of salt, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some time back, a guy came up and he said that this would actually cure arthritis,
Mm.
right? You can look this up, actually. If you Google the term borax conspiracy, it'll tell you the whole story. I
Okay.
haven't, I read it a long time ago, so I don't want to get the facts mixed up. But the gist of the whole thing is that borax was, this guy tells how not only will it help arthritis, but it can help boost testosterone levels in men, you know. But again, this was, you know, called quackery, and they said that it was
Quackery.
dangerous. And if you do it, you're going to wind up, you're going to kill yourself. You know what I mean? And, everything that's like natural in a sense, or something that doesn't something that anything that involves healing without the use of pharmaceuticals, they brand as dangerous, and they destroy these people. They really do. You know what I mean? And I mean, because they're so powerful. There's so much money behind them. Um, and they just, if you come out with any type of, well, no, you don't need pills for that. You could just do X, Y, and Z. Like, again, your thing with the hernia. This was from back in the 1930s. And I bet you, if you look that up now, almost any mainstream website will tell you, don't do that. That's dangerous. You know, you're really going to mess yourself up if you do that. You have to have surgery, and you have to have this. You know what I mean? Um, so you really have to. There's so much information out there. You have to sift through it.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Now, all that said, I'm not saying that there's a place for medicine. It saved a lot of people's lives, and there are instances where it could save your life. I'm talking about the day-to-day stuff, like, because if you look at the chronic illnesses that we have today, the diabetes, the heart disease, kidney, liver, so much of it, 80 to 90% of it is lifestyle habits that brings that on us. And the only, rather than change your lifestyle, they give you pills and medications just to mask the symptoms of it. And you go on doing the same things that are causing it. You don't get to the root cause of it. You just keep treating symptoms, and that's their way. That's their way, because that's where the money is.
Yep.
You get somebody, you prescribe somebody metformin, you prescribe somebody a heart pressure blood pressure pill, you know, on and on. You prescribe them something for GERD, right? They call GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. It's fucking heartburn. It's because you eat like an animal and drink too much. And they put you, they call it a disease. Now you have a disease. You know what I mean? That's purely lifestyle. That's dietary. That's gonna do. It's what you're putting in your body, um, for the most part. And rather than tell you, stop doing that, stop doing what's causing it, they'll say, no, no, you have a disease, so you have to take this pill. and they'll have it on you. They'll have you on it for life. And again, like a guy my age, I'm 60. Most 50, 60-year-old guys my age are on an average of 4, 5, 6 prescription medications a day.
Yeah.
We're cash cows. We're cash cows. Sickness is where it's at. They don't want to cure you. They want to keep you breathing. They want to keep you breathing at all costs. Because as long as you're breathing, there's money to be had. If you take your last breath, but the thing is, there's no shortage of customers because as we drop off, there's plenty of other people coming up that are going to get on that they could make customers. So, well, that's it, my friend. Like I said, we just got to keep talking about it, and hopefully people come around and more people do their research, start realizing how important it is to keep themselves healthy, to exercise, to eat right, and just hope for the best. Because sometimes it really does feel like we're shoveling shit against the tide here. You know what I mean? Because it seems like it's only getting worse. But you just have to hope that people start to wake up and see what's going on. So let me just check the chat here. I think we missed our friend Gio is here as always. Appreciate you, brother. Frankie F16 is in the chat. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you.
Frankie says we have to falling in love with the process and the journey. Yeah. And love yourself, right? Exactly. Love yourself enough to keep going.
Honestly, man, once you start this shit, you like learn to learn. Doing that makes you love yourself more. You
Yes,
find more value in yourself.
you do. Yeah, like we said earlier, it builds self-esteem without a doubt. Without a doubt, builds self-esteem. Our friend Superhuman Unchained was here. Okay, I don't know if he's still here, Sarge. Appreciate. He's a beast. I don't know if you've seen him,
Yeah, I
Aldo.
seen him. Yeah, shout out to
Yeah,
him.
he's a beast. Shout out Superhuman Unchained. Thanks, Sarge. Gio, thank you again, brother. Gio's always here with us.
Shout out to Gio, man. Thank you,
Gio's a
my brother.
staple, man. Appreciate Gio a lot.
Yes, sir.
And Frankie. All right, my brother. I think that's it for tonight. I think we're all talked out, right? We'll have to recharge the batteries and come back.
Hey, man, we gotta talk this, man. This is things that need to be taught. People need to hear it. It might sound fucked up, and it might fucking feel like somebody's throwing a rock at you, and we are, because we want what's best for you. Just like somebody did it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I want it for somebody else, man. It was insecurity. I felt like shit, and I'm glad I listened though. I'm glad I took it in, and I'm glad I applied it in my life, and I'm so grateful years later. So this is for everybody else too.
Yeah.
That's
And
it.
like we talked about, now you have your son, and again, you're a great example for your son. And like they say, when you teach your son, you teach your son's son, right? So hopefully he's going to pass it on. And everything you're doing, he sees you. He sees you as the example, and that's what you should be. Not sitting on a couch with a beer belly. Hey, son, go get me another can of beer. You know what I mean? You're out there with him. You're teaching him. You're showing him what it should be. You're living it. You're
Thank
not
you.
just pointing your finger at him and saying you should be doing this. You should be doing that. You're doing it. You're right. You have him right next to you, and you're showing him. You know what I mean? That this is the way to do it. This is the right way to do it. So shout out to you, Aldo. I appreciate you,
Thank
brother.
you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
man. We're gonna cut it right there. And again, appreciate everybody in the chat. Frankie F16, Geo, Sarge. We'll cut it here. Everybody get your reps in. And again, shout out to my friend Travis Plant from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Everybody have a good night. Get your reps in. Stay healthy. Get the exercise. It's not a punishment. It's a privilege. Take care of yourselves. And we will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys.
God bless you, everyone. Thank you.